Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're doing Who Was Better. The topic for this Who Was Better: two of the top TNA knockouts of all time, two women synonymous with that division, Mickie James and Madison Rayne. These two women, I think, really helped TNA build that knockout division and make it what it was, which I think is very special. We're going to go into this, we're going to compare the two of them. We're going to compare them in 8 different categories. If you've never seen my videos before, I grade them on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. At the end, we're going to add up all of their scores, and whoever has the highest score obviously wins. That's who we're going to determine is better. There is a chance for 5 bonus points, and we'll talk about that when we get there. With that being said, let's go to our first category, technical wrestling. Now, starting with Mickie James, I'm going to give Mickie a 4. While I don't think that Mickie ever quite made it into that upper echelon like a Gail Kim would have, I do think she was above average, and I think she was basically, if you were looking at this like a report card in school, I think she'd be a very high B. I don't necessarily think she'd be an A, but just below that. For Madison Rayne, Madison I'm giving a 3. And it's not that she's bad, she's not. She's actually had some really good matches. I just think, again, for her character, that wasn't her strong point. And we'll get to that when we get to those. But for me, she was serviceable. She definitely passes. She gets a 3. Now going on to our next category, striking. For Mickie James, Mickie gets a 4 again. Like I said, I do think she's above average. I think this is another place where she does really well. Hence why she gets that score. For Madison Rayne, again, I'm going to give Madison a 3 here. And again, much like I said with the technical wrestling, I don't think that the actual in-ring, and this is going to sound terrible, but I promise you it's not. There's a reason why there's 8 different categories to judge these wrestlers on, because some of them are strong in some areas that add up to what makes a professional wrestler, in my opinion. And for her, it's not necessarily the in-ring stuff. She's passable. She will definitely have a good match. You're never going to have a stinker out of her. So therefore, for me, she gets a 3. Now, our next category, how they perform as a heel. For Mickie James, I'm giving Mickie a 3. There is something that almost feels like you can't make Mickie a heel. She has that connectability, that aura about her, that fans just want to love her. They just want to cheer for her. They want to buy her merchandise. They want to sing her theme song. While I think she could be a serviceable heel, I think that's the reason why she doesn't get much more than that, because, again, fans just want to love her no matter what. Now, for Madison, Madison is getting a 5. And this is, to me, where I think her best qualities are. She performed at such a high level as a heel, especially during her time as part of the Beautiful People. There was a sense that she connected with that character. And I'm not saying that Madison's an evil person in real life, but she really got that quasi Mean Girls character and did great with it. I think it fit her so well. That's why she gets a 5 here. Now going from that, how they perform as a babyface. You've probably seen this one coming from what I just said about her as a heel, but Mickie James is getting a 5. She has that inert connectability that very few people have. Just her smiling gets people cheering. A couple years ago, when she was treated poorly in WWE, there was such a backlash just because it was Mickie James. If they would have done that to another wrestler that the fans didn't love as much as Mickie, it might not have got that big of a deal. But again, I think she's awesome. I think she's a really great babyface. That's why she gets a 5. Now for Madison, Madison gets a 4. And for everything that she did as a heel, I think she did almost as well as a babyface too. She was able to turn that and tweak it just a bit, and instead of being the snotty cheerleader that you hate, she became the snotty cheerleader that you wanted to be prom queen, that you could see as the girl next door. I think she did such a great job here. I don't think she's quite as good as a face as she is as a heel, but I do think that she's really good at both. Now coming up next, our next category, promos. For Mickie, I'm giving Mickie James a 3. And I'm sorry. I love Mickie James. I think she's awesome. I think both these women are awesome. But to me, she never had that great promo ability where if you didn't really care about a match before her promo, you didn't care about it after her promo. Some people have it. Some people don't. Unfortunately, Mickie's one that doesn't. Again, there's other parts of her character that just connect better than that. But for me, like I said, she's getting a 3. Now for Madison, Madison's getting a 4. As you're starting to see here, these women are very evenly matched, but in different categories. In categories where I think Mickie excels, Madison doesn't do so great, and vice versa. I wouldn't consider either of them bad in any of the categories that you're going to see going forward. But to me, for promos, I could listen to a Madison Rayne promo all day. I could listen to a Mickie James promo, and if you ask me 2 minutes later what she was talking about, I probably would not be able to tell you. That's where I think the difference is. Madison Rayne could bring you into it, Mickie can't, in my opinion. Now next up, our next category, presentation. For Mickie, she's getting a 4. And most of this is because of her song, Hardcore Country, and the persona that came with it. There's a lot of her career, which is why she doesn't quite get a 5 here, where she pretty much wore the same kind of gear and was kind of similar to anybody else. I mean, if you think back to her initial run in WWE, and you take the gear she's wearing, and you took the gear like Melina was wearing, or an Eve Torres was wearing, and you threw them all in front of you, and you said, okay, which one's Eve's, which one's Mickie's, which one's Melina's, would you really be able to tell that much of a difference? I mean, you may know if you're like a super crazy fan and knew what they were wearing the night before, but if you're just looking at them, there's not really anything that stands out. Once we get her into the Hardcore Country era of Mickie James, you see more of her come out, and more of that connection is made. Much like I said earlier about her innate connection with the fans, her doing the country music and fans buying into that and seeing her for who she really is really made her excel. Like I said, I think she gets a 4 here. The only thing stopping her from being a 5 is there's a lot of her career where she just looked like every other women's wrestler. Now Madison Rayne, Madison is getting a 5. For the heavy majority of Madison Rayne's career, you knew who she was, you knew what she represented. She had a clear, concise character that everybody could understand. Whether it was you hated her because she was beautiful, or you loved her because she was beautiful, and she just carries herself in a way, and her character work, everything about her presentation fits so well, especially into the beautiful people. That's why I think Madison gets a little bit of an edge over Mickie James here. They're both really good, but I give Madison that bit of an edge. Now next up, charisma. For Mickie James, Mickie is getting a 5. I think this is the thing that's made Mickie James's career the whole time through. She has an insane amount of charisma. Even going back to her early days as Alexis Lurie, you could see that in her. You could see the fans just wanting to be on her side, just wanting to connect with her, just wanting to cheer her on, make her, help her get pumped up, help her win. She has that connection that's so hard for people to get, and it's one of those things that either you have it or you don't. And she has it like almost no one else in the women's division or the knockouts division in TNA ever did. I think her charisma is off the charts. If I could give her a higher than 5, I probably would, but I've constrained myself on these, so she gets a 5 here. Now for Madison Rayne, Madison's going to get a 4. I do think there's a little bit of a step down, and here's the difference for me. Remember everything I said about Mickie James having kind of a generic look, but still connecting with the crowd and the crowd still loving her? I think if you take the presentation away from Madison Rayne, you dress these women exactly the same, I don't think she connects as well as Mickie James does. If everything's equal, they read the same promos, they wrestle the same match, they're pushed the same exact way, I think fans gravitate to Mickie James more than they do Madison Rayne. And then that's not saying that they don't gravitate to Madison Rayne. I just think Mickie has a slight advantage here. Now going into our last category, big game performance. This is how you perform in the main events, whether it be a main event of a pay-per-view, a house show, a TV show, wherever it may be. For Mickie, Mickie's getting a 4. To me, Mickie's had some of the greatest matches in the Knockouts division history in TNA, and she's had some great matches in WWE. But the thing that separates her from getting a 5 here instead of a 4, I don't think she has what I would call destination matches, where you could point to a match and you say to someone, let's say they're a new wrestling fan. You point to these matches, there's certain matches everybody knows, they go, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch that. if you like Mickie James, you'll like this. If you're a fan of Rhea Ripley, you should watch this. If you're a fan of Jordynne Grace, you should watch this. It came before her. And I don't think Mickie has those. So for me, she gets a 4. Now for Madison Rayne, Madison's getting a 3. And again, I talked about it when I talked about her striking and her technical ability. The in-ring portion of her presentation to me is, I hate to say it in this way, but the weakest part of her game. And for me, that's not everything that makes a wrestler. Some of my favorite wrestlers I wouldn't consider having great in-ring talent. Where Madison gets the advantage is everything else, the promos, the presentation, the character, all that is stellar. However, much like Mickie, I can't honestly point to any big-time, amazing Madison Rayne matches. Now, she's never had a bad match that I've seen, or that I could think of off the top of my head, but she's never had one where I was blown away. I've never watched a card with Madison Rayne on it and thought she had the best match of the night. And that's no knock on her, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm not knocking her at all. Just in my opinion, that's where I see her stand. With all that being said, let's total them up. For Mickie James is getting a 32. For Madison Rayne is getting a 31. But wait, here's where the bonus comes in. If you haven't watched my videos before, every Wednesday I post on my YouTube channel in this section called Posts, that used to be called Community. I post a poll. And basically I ask you guys out there, who do you think is better? And whoever wins that poll, they get 5 bonus points. So as you can see with something like this, it's definitely going to make the difference between who wins and loses. So the person that won the poll, getting the 5 bonus points and being the ultimate winner here, Mickie James. And she won the poll by a landslide, which I kind of didn't expect. I thought these women would be a lot more even when it came to the poll. I know there's a lot of Madison Rayne fans. Over my years of watching TNA, I've heard a lot of people that The Beautiful People is their favorite thing they've ever seen in TNA. And I guess that goes to what I was saying about Mickie's connection with the fans. The fans just gravitate to her and love her, and that's what makes her so special, is she just has that magnetism. It's why she won the poll. It's why she ultimately won this whole thing. But I can't disagree. I think both these women are amazing. I gotta give the win to Mickie. The numbers don't lie. Now, with that being said, if you made it here to the end, let's smash that like button. Hit the subscribe if you're not. Share the video. If you see where it says join, that's how you become a member. Becoming a member definitely helps me out. On my YouTube page, there's going to be a tab that says shop. If you click on that, there's going to be some different items you could look at there. If you purchase one of those items, I get a kickback if you click it from my link, obviously, which helps me indefinitely. I'm also going to tag a few items in the description of this video. Hopefully I can find some for both of these women that I could tag down there, so if you're a fan of either one, you could go and purchase one of their products. But I digress. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and you've been watching Who Was Better.